Today's recipe, we're going to make a rasmalai Tres Leches Cake. So Tres Leches Cake is actually a Mexican version of cake, and tres means three and leches means milk. So they basically add three different kinds of milk and make a super moist, at the same time airy and very light fluffy cake. So basically what you're going to do is take the Tres Leches recipe and make it into a fusion cake with some Indian flavorings or spices with it, and so that's why it's called a rasmalai Tres Leches Cake. And this is an eggless version of it. Both with egg and without egg taste really good. It has no difference basically. So this is definitely a must-try recipe, and it's quite simple to make. It has 3 different steps. So let's get into the recipe. The first step is to bake the cake. You'll need 1 cup of yogurt, half a teaspoon of baking soda. Give it a good mix and set it aside for some time. To a mixing bowl, add 3/4 cup of sugar, half cup of vegetable oil. Whisk it really well. This step is very important because you're going to incorporate as much as air as you can to make your cake really nice and fluffy. Because we are not adding any eggs to it, this step is really important. Now add the yogurt mixture to this and whisk it really well. Add 1 teaspoon of vanilla essence, half a teaspoon of almond extract or pistachio extract. If you don't have it, that's fine too. Now add 1/4 teaspoon of powdered cardamom, 1 teaspoon baking powder, and finally 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. Fold it in. You don't have to overmix at this point. Here I'm taking a 9x13 tray and I'm greasing it really well. You can use any cake pan of any size for this. Pour the batter in. Bake it in a 350-degree Fahrenheit oven for 30 to 35 minutes. So once your cake is baked, you need to allow it to cool. So leave it on the countertop for a few hours. While the cake is cooling, let's go to our next step, which is making the 3-milk mixture. The first thing you'll need is take some milk and just warm it in the microwave for a few seconds and add a few strands of saffron to this and set it aside. To a mixing bowl, add 1 can of condensed milk, it's 14 ounce, and 12 ounce can of evaporated milk, and 1/3 cup of heavy cream. Now add the saffron milk to this, half a teaspoon of vanilla essence, half a teaspoon of cardamom powder. So all that is going to give you an Indian touch or a rasmalai flavor. And now you're going to whisk all of these things together. You can close it with a lid and refrigerate it until it's ready to use. So now that your cake is completely cooled or it's in room temperature, you're going to take a fork and poke holes all over the cake. Now you're going to take the milk mixture that we made previously and then you're going to pour over the cake. Now don't use all of it, save some of this milk mixture for the final decoration. Notice as soon as you poured in, the cake is absorbing all of this milk mixture, so which is really good. So you can pour more if you want, and then you cover the cake with a tight fitting lid and refrigerate this overnight. That will really add flavor to your cake, and you can refrigerate the remainder of the milk mixture as well. So that brings us to our step 3, which is making the whipped topping. So you can buy ready-made whipped cream or Cool Whip for this, but if you want to make your own, this is how you do this. So you're going to add half a cup of sugar and 2 cups of heavy cream. And you're going to beat this on high for about 3 to 4 minutes. You can use an egg beater or a cake mixer for this. Make sure you keep an eye on this, because if you whip it for too long, it can turn into butter, or it can be a disaster. So just keep an eye on this, and you should be good. To this you can add a few drops of vanilla essence and a few drops of almond extract. So this consistency looks about right, so I'm going to stop it right here. So here is my cake. This is how it looks the next day. It has really absorbed the milk mixture, and on top of that I'm going to add this whipped topping as a layer. Now I'm going to add a few strands of saffron on top of it. Some whole pistachios. You can also add some crushed pistachios. And finally I'm going to add some edible dried rose petals. You can find this at your Indian store. So you can cover this and let it refrigerate until it's time to serve. So when it's time to serve, just cut it into square pieces, and you can add that milk mixture that you have been saving for the final garnish, and that will really add a very good flavor to your cake. So this is how it looks finally. It's a very tasty and a must-try recipe. So I hope you do try this out at home. And if you don't like the Indian flavors, you can skip the cardamom and saffron, and you can instead add strawberries and blueberries and such. So that will also be a very good alternative to this. Also, if you don't have time and you want a quick dessert, what you can do is buy the regular pound cake or a tea cake or a sponge cake and poke holes in it, and follow the step 2 of this recipe and soak it with the milk mixture. And instead of making your own whipped topping, you can also add Cool Whip, the ready-made store-bought ones, or whipped topping, and that will also be a great alternative if you don't have time to bake the cake and so on. So please do try this out and let me know how it turned out for you. So until next time, I hope you have a good day.